Hello and good day to you all. This is my first video and my first time being in YouTube. My name is Rafcraft Minecraft and I am a Minecraft builder who loves to build anything related to the military's Navy and its Air Force. Our adventure is just the beginning and there is a lot to know about me and myself in this journey to the creative world of creations. I can teach, build warships and aircraft to bring them to the audience so that others can learn to build like me. I have excelled through these skills and evolved throughout the years, and I would love to share my creations from my past since I was young up to this day, and let the world know that being creative is a skill. Who knows how far I will go with the talent I own through these years that will bring me success for as long as I follow my heart on what I love to do. Building takes a long time to master, and it dedicates to broadening one's mind as long as they try until they are very good at it. But it's not something to always rush. It's the patience and dedication, taking things in the calmest way possible, slowly learning mistakes on your building's efforts, and finding new ways to recreate those into something better than your last creation. Now that I've said most of myself in this introduction, I hope we get along more soon into the future. And because this is also my first video, I want to represent most of my old ships and most of my recent ones I've built. If there's one ship that I have built and I had ever done in my early days of building, it would be the battleship Yamato. This building was not from Minecraft but from a different kind of game similar called Worldcraft. It is like Minecraft but a cheap addition to the original that I have downloaded when I could not play the actual game. It was not perfect, yet the designs of being my very first battleship is where I began my first building of battleships. On to the next ship that I have built next was not considered a battleship, but after 7 months, I wanted to also test my abilities in building smaller ships, since I never had such a big fantasy about them. This ship was part of World War II when Japan was losing badly, and a built destroyer named IGN Shimakaze, as the legend Wind. She was an experimental destroyer that was only able to see parts of the Battle of Leyte Gulf, but sank sadly by aerial bombardment after. I built this destroyer because I was a fan of Japanese warships, and this is also where I learned to build old warships from building this destroyer from untold history. Let's get on to the next few years after my 2015 days. It was 2018 when I decided to rebuild my Yamato 3 years later. It was the same size and it was also the first successful or most not really sloppy but best dedicated building of my Yamato. From the previous building that I did was much more different. It was an improvement, and I was shocked at this time because the building was better. Because Minecraft at this time had slopes, slabs, and stairs, and I could really use that for curves or slopes into the future, or rounded shapes. For as much as I like Japanese warships, I also wanted to try the new experience in building. One of those experiences was learning how to build the HMS Hood. Since she was a British battleship, it's not considerably because she's a battleship type, but she is a battle cruiser. She is a famous battle cruiser that was built in World War I, at the end of World War I, and yet sank in World War II. After KMS Bismarck had blown her bow, breaking the ship into 3 pieces, she was entitled as the Pride of the Royal Navy and was known for one title, the Stick. The Navy ship of all ships, as she was, did not end well during 1940 of Operation Rhinabung. Battleships were the fiercest kind of warriors in the ocean, ever to be seen in battle before air power took over. One of these battleships that you're looking at is one most famous of them all in the German Navy. She is the pride of the German Navy. We call her the KMS Bismarck. Bismarck was named after Otto von Bismarck. This ship was built during the Third Reich of Germany, and she was also known as the pride of the German Navy. She was very similar to the HMS Hood, but after Operation Ranabang, during HMS Hood's sinking, she was hunted down 90% by the entire Royal Navy from Denmark Strait all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, when one lucky attempt of destroying the Bismarck's rudder put an end to her legacy, later to be bombarded by shells in the next day and was torpedoed at the end of her last stand. If there was any other ship I really love to build, it's space battleships. Now, considering space battleships, you would say Star Wars or fan fiction from sci-fi or anything related to that. Well, I have one. This ship is called the Space Battleship Yamato, or she was known by an anime known as the Uchu Senkan Yamato, or Space Battleship Yamato in English. It was later renamed after a remastered version of its anime is called Star Blazers. The history is taken back in the original anime, which was back in the 1945 of April 7th, 250 years later into the far future. The story goes that planet Earth was raided by aliens called the Garmillians. They lived in a planet called Garmelas that is dying and crumbling and falling from war and corrupt policies. One day they discover the only planet that lives free, and it's also the beginning of the Cosmos Navy's birth to take on these aliens or these Martians. Now, this is taking place on 2199, so this is far from our timeline. And thinking that she is like a last stand or the last hope to humanity, the Space Battleship Yamato that I built was also my first building. There were also many kind of buildings that I tried to do, such as also making my own fan-made, which is the Space Battleship Yamato with wings, and also the Reborn Warrior version of it. There, you can check into these. You can check into these when I'm much better into building space battleships, because I have not been into building space battleships because I had more experience in building modern navies and World War II navies and World War I navies. There are many favorites that I have. These kind of favorites that I usually would be engaged at would be a battleship, because they're one of the first things I built in real life. Like, what I mean by in real life, I would build them back then in Minecraft, a game that I usually play, and so much more I could have done. I love to build them because they get me motivated in doing so and being able to build it block by block. And I really love it when I do it when I do it in the inside to the outside, from exterior to interior. One of these first ships that I really like to build the most is the Dreadnoughts. Now, maybe I have not built one Dreadnought yet, but these things were also the first true warriors of the ocean. Now, I might want to build other things other than just big ships, battleships, or even Dreadnoughts. I would love to do giant airships, spaceships, and maybe big houses where I can also always start such one thing is a skyscraper or condominiums, or maybe even movie buildings or animated buildings or a series of artifacts. These things I plan to do is maybe there will be more of it, but as we all know, it's still the beginning, and the unexpected from me is to be expected someday in the future. This is just the beginning of me, and I will be happy to reply and answer to all your messages, to all your chats about me, your opinions, your advices, and your suggestions. If you have other things to wish to suggest about my channel, I will seek to that someday. So thank you all so much. We will meet again in the next video.